Four, three, two, one. You are live. Well, hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. We're on two YouTube channels today, the Wings for Life channel, the Federal Prison Talk channel, and the Wings for Life Facebook channel. My name is Sean. I'm your host today for Wings for Life. This is Wings Week in Review. And if you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know what Wings for Life is. What we do is here's our motto: transforming lives to break the generational cycle of incarceration. And that's what our topic is about today, guys. Uh, the cycle of incarceration. I have a guest, Daniel L., who's been volunteering at Wings for Life for the last couple of months. First, I want to introduce you to the founder of Wings for Life, who started this whole thing. Her name is Ann Edenfield Sweet. She's going to give you a little update on what's going on with Wings for Life International. Here's Ann.
Thank you, Sean. Well, again, every week, there's not a slow time at Wings, so it's been a fabulous week again. We had a great speaker, Shelley Rep, on Monday night, who talked about sex trafficking. And Shelley is an expert, and she now is speaking nationally all over the place. And we have a great tape talk. If you want to know anything about sex trafficking, Shelley is the one. And so you can go, of course, to our YouTube channel or our website and see all the information that she presented for us. It was excellent. Now, this next week, we are going to have Serge Martinez. He is a law professor at the University of New Mexico, and he teaches housing law, and he teaches, how to, like, evictions and things like that. And now, of course, there's so many problems with evictions. So I know that I've seen his PowerPoint that he's going to be dealing with that a lot. So if you or anybody you know, and even if you're not in New Mexico, a lot of these laws are, pretty consistent across the country. I would certainly tune in Monday night to hear Serge because, first of all, he's a great guy. You're really going to like him. And then he teaches law in such a way that all of us can understand it. It's not speaking at a PhD level. And so I'm sure in his classrooms at that higher level, he does that. But for us, when he's speaking, he's talking to us. And then, of course, we go to breakout rooms, too. So then you'll be able to ask all your questions. So I've already had a lot of people email me already saying, when is this going to be? Because they wanted to be there because they have a lot of questions for them. And when do you get a chance to ask a law professor about housing, especially with all the issues going on today. So we're very excited about that. Then we sent out a press release this week that we are definitely looking for space. Our Wings Works, which Sean is part of, that's a business that has been given to us by one of our great volunteers, 37-year wholesale craft business to the Southwest gift stores, and beautiful handmade items that are made. And so we need space for that. So we're going to be doing that. And then also on Tuesday night, we had a community-wide gathering in our office. We were overflowing with people in our office physically, and as well as people joining us by Zoom. And I was thrilled that our Deputy Cabinet Secretary from Corrections was there, and our Reentry Director for the state of New Mexico, also with the Corrections Department, was there. And they want to work with us. In fact, they even offered that in our new building, because we will at some point have access to $1,222,000 for a new building. That won't happen until next year in 2023. But we're in the process of looking right now. And once we get that building, the Corrections Department asked, and of course I said yes, if they could have a reentry director and somebody from Corrections actually right in our office. And absolutely we will, because this will be just perfect, because then we'll have somebody right on staff, right there to be able to answer all those questions and to help people to deal with all the issues regarding incarceration and dealing with the Corrections Department. So anyway, it's been quite the week. And so it's very, very exciting. We also are looking for places. We know we have funding. We can't officially announce this yet, but we have funding to open up 8 sites, communities across New Mexico for our Wings for Life programming that we're going to do, and they will be able to be in local communities. So then we'll be able to help hands-on hiring local people to reach the local folks in whatever 8 communities step up to the plate. So we're starting to plant seeds. I can't officially announce that yet, but I'm going to say it here that if you are looking for some funding and to be able to hire some people to get our weekly program going in your community, and if you're in New Mexico, we're going to have some funding for you. It's not tons, but it's certainly more than I ever had to get started. If I had that much to get started, we would have been really growing at a whole faster pace. So we'll have money for a director, for a data person to gather all the data about who attends and all the ethnicities and all the various things that we have to do for grant funding. Then we'll have a kitchen coordinator to coordinate the meal, because there's money in there for a meal for every week. And then somebody to be hired to oversee the children and do after dinner programming for the kids. So anyway, there's a lot going on, as always, at Wings. And I'm just so grateful that you're joining us here for our Wings for Week in Review. So, Sean, if there aren't any questions, I'm going to turn it back to you, and everybody will get to hear from Daniel and hear his remarkable story, and the story now of recovery and how is he being successful. And those are the stories that we love to hear. So, any questions, any additional questions or comments or anything for me, or otherwise I'm going to let it go.
Thank you very much, Ann. I got AZ Ruction in the room. Hey now, much love. He's new to the channel, and TJ is saying, "Hey Sean, we got 10 people in the room now, and that's great. I love that. We're getting bigger. We're getting bigger. So if you guys are just joining us, this is our weekly. It's Wings Week in Review. So on Fridays, guys, I'm normally in the office. I tested positive for COVID, so I'm remote. I'm at home tonight. I'm not really in a day room in a jail right here behind me, but our topic today is the cycle of incarceration. And so Daniel, I've gotten to know over the last couple months. He's got a great story, but we're going to talk about everything from homelessness to being on parole, probation, going to jail, getting out of jail, trying to find a job, sober living houses, trying to, getting violated, getting put back in jail, going to prison, all that kind of stuff. You're caught in the system. We're going to talk about the courts, the judges, the prosecutors. We're going to cover a whole lot today, guys. So that's just there's 10,000 topics. Questions you could probably come up with right there. And Daniel and me are going to talk about that. And please ask your questions. We'll stop and we'll talk about your questions. And if we get sidetracked on you guys make the show. So it's all about you guys. I'm going to give you Daniel. Daniel, you want to say hello?
Wait, Sean, I'm going to say goodbye. So I'm going to have you get me out of here. I'll listen, but I don't need to be seen. And so bye, everybody. Right. Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much, Ann, for everything you do. She helps all the families that have loved ones that are incarcerated. The number's on the screen. You can call Ann anytime, any day. She's always there to help. She's got the biggest heart you'll ever find.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. And all right. So we got Daniel. All right, Daniel. So I'm going to give you the floor. Maybe, introduce yourself, and we'll start with that.
Okay. My name's Daniel, and I hail from Anthony, New Mexico. I moved up here to the central New Mexico area following work. When I got here, my immediate thought was, I wish I would have known about how much work and opportunity there is up here. And what happened lately is that my negative style of coping came back, and it eventually caught up to me. So, like we were saying, the topics are like avoiding recidivism, right? And so, I like to start off by saying that I've never been to prison. A lot of people think I have, and it usually happens.
But you've been to multiple jails.
I've been incarcerated 4 times, and then it usually happens that I get sent away. I have to go do time somewhere else.
So prison's just a yet, and we hope you never get there.
Exactly. Knock on wood, brother. And it's my full intention to stay out of jails and prison now. But I just wanted to put that out there so that I'm not trying to give the impression that I've actually been to the big house and I've managed to not get. I'm a felon now. This is my first felony, and it's really affected how I've been able to reintegrate back into society. It's affected my housing, jobs. I had a good job. They had to let me go. The guy wanted to keep me because he saw how I worked, but because of the authorities, it was I had to be let go. So it's things of that sort, and I think that the beautiful
You,
thing is that there's programs and there's agencies out here to help us. And the most important thing to remember is that as unique as our problems are, uh, there are people out here, teams of people that are willing to help you put your recovery back together based on your unique needs, your
yeah,
treatment plans, your whatever you're
right.
working with. Like me, I'm a vet, so I have resources at the VA. Okay, when people get out, not everybody that's getting out of prison will have the same
Yeah,
resources
I tried to join the military. They wouldn't take me because I couldn't pass the drug test.
right there
So,
you go.
you
Yeah,
know,
and so this last time that I got out, I thought that I had planned everything ahead of time and saved some money, and then my social worker at the VA we had agreed that when I got out, she would help me get back on my feet. She told me don't try to do it alone.
yeah.
What happened is that when I got to the VA, I was already not doing too good, and I was suicidal, homicidal, and I think they were trying to protect her. They told me she wasn't there anymore. And then what
Uh,
happened is I ended up with other clinicians that were having to try to catch up to where my problems
sure.
were. Yeah,
I just want to say hi to baby girl Wendy. She says, "Hello, everybody. This is my first time in here. So thanks for joining."
yeah,
And she's saying hi to as AZ Ruction. Hey, Dan, I just wanted to back up a minute. We were
sure.
talking about how you never been to prison, but you've been to jail. I don't know how many times, but I want to let people know you don't have to go to prison to be a felon. So I was in 11 county jails before I went to prison, and I caught my first felony at like age 25 for $20 worth of cocaine. And
Yeah,
I think I did 4 months in jail, and that was a felony. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And then every time I got caught for little small amounts, personal use. Now I think they just slap your hand and give you a ticket. But back in the 80s and 90s, I would do 90 days or 6 months in jail for $30, $40 worth of drugs, and every time was a felony. So I
well,
have six, I have 16 felonies on my record, and this is before I even went to prison. So now I have 17. So I just want to let you don't have to go to prison to be a felon. I just wanted to put that out there.
and like you were saying, it depends on the jurisdiction. You might like where I got into trouble. It's a very big deal. And then because I was living in Bernalillo County, my case got transferred here. I'm not saying that what I did was not a big deal. It's just compared to the crimes here in Albuquerque, then in the spectrum of things, my PO doesn't worry too much about me so long as I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Because comparatively speaking, uh, it's not as I would say as intense as other crimes that happen. Now, back again, where I committed that incident, it's a big deal. It's a big
Yeah.
and then yeah, and then it depends on the jails and prisons. If they're full, then they start keeping the people who they deem to be more dangerous. And if the jails are like right now in COVID, uh, whoever is not as big a risk or as big a danger, then they deem those people worthy of putting them on an ankle bracelet or what have
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
So,
when I was in my 20s and 30, they were just locking everybody up, and they, throwing the book at us, and that was in California, which now it's completely different.
yeah,
Now I can go into a Walgreens and steal $949 worth of items, and it's just a misdemeanor ticket.
yeah.
Basically, don't do it again. But
Uh-huh.
when I was growing up, it wasn't like that, and the cops were strict. They were tough.
And so since I've gotten here to Wings, and I'm glad that I ended up here at Wings for Life, and I met you, and I found out how little planning I did, even though I knew I was going to go in.
yeah,
And it's people like you and me too, as I learned, and everybody here at Wings, that there's so many things you can do to prepare before you go in, and not
or
only
before.
you,
Yeah.
the family, because as when you're doing time, if you're close with they're gonna be doing time too, in a way of sorts, and that's what I love about Wings. And then there's other agencies that they help us, but not only us, they help our families, because our families are our resources. And then we,
Yeah,
so
for
like
for
with,
for the for the lucky people who have families.
for
Now,
the
I did a
lucky,
lot of time when people that had no family, or they have a family, but now the family doesn't want nothing to do with you because it's your seventh time going to jail. They've wiped. They're done with you. Maybe
yeah,
the first time in jail, the second time in jail, they visit you. The third or fourth or fifth time, they
yeah.
kind of tough love it, and they can't have you in their life anymore.
And
The
sometimes it's a necessity based on their situation. To me, I'm very lucky that my sisters never let me. They never let me go. They took care of me when I was in there, bro. They sent me money. They sent me books, and it makes a big difference because you can, instead of becoming jaded and angry and disillusioned, there's hope, and
yeah,
then it gives you and it shows you that they're, even though they don't understand everything, but they're trying their best. And at the
yeah.
same time, like when I came here to Albuquerque, I don't have family here. I have a nephew here, and we're we're, uh, we're trying our best to help each other. But what I'm trying to get at is that I've been using the VA as a replacement to my family, and that's where I'm.
Oh,
Yeah. So again, my point is there's help out here, and then it sometimes we'll tend to isolate because uh, we might be depressed or PTSD, or instead of doing something angry out there, you'd rather be secluded until you can calm down. And what happens is you're not out there asking for the help you need, and nobody thinks you need that help. And again,
see,
like, go ahead.
yeah, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. I mean,
Right.
nobody's going to know you need help unless you ask for it. That's the hardest thing to do, especially for addicts and alcoholics and criminals out there who really want to change their ways, but they don't know how to ask for help. And that's the first step is to ask
Yeah,
for help.
and I'll give you an example. The social workers helped me get a job at the VA. I was a janitor, and I swallowed my pride, and it's okay. It's an honorable job or good pay. Do it, and then you can gather your scruples to see how you're gonna, you know, continue on the white collar career that I have. Right
Yeah.
now, when they did the background check after 2 months, they let me go.
I've
But I
lost a
don't.
couple jobs because of that too. I've been on the job a month or two, and the background check came through,
Yeah,
and they
but
called me in the office and said, You can't work for us anymore."
yeah, but
Yeah.
I left a good reference. The guy didn't really want to let me go. He had to, so that when I
Right.
went to the New Mexico Workforce Connection to tell them, hey, I need some help. Then they asked me, how come they let you go if you already worked there 2 months? I told them it's a background check, bro. He didn't want to let me go. So at that time, I'm establishing connections with my helpers there. I have like three people helping me there, and then they are the people that send me here to Wings. Yeah, and then here
Right.
at Wings, I met you, I met Ann, and then like the people
Yeah.
who have gotten to know me, bro, they don't give me the benefit of the doubt at first. At first, but when after they keep interacting with me, then they find out, this guy, you text him, he texts you back. He's sober. When you hit him up, he's sober.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just need those 10, 15 people behind me. And then when I meet new people that don't really believe me yet, sometimes when I say, yeah, I'm working with Ann Sweets at Wings, and then that's when they're like, oh, well, maybe this guy really is serious about this thing. And it has a lot to do with, and I'm not trying to use her, to to get people, but it just so happens, bro. So that's what I'm getting at is, even though we might get angry and start isolating and such, there has to be a point, bro, where you have to convince yourself to get out there and make contacts with, like, my same thing with my landlord. He read me the riot act, bro, and because he didn't want to trust me, but He trusted me because I was with the VA, and then
Yeah.
now I'm one of his best tenants that he's ever had. And again, so if you stay in the game of recovery, your redemption will come, brother. That's what I'm
Yeah.
finding out. And then for every door that closes, that's not your door, bro. So you keep looking, and eventually some doors will open.
It's a long journey. I know it's been a long journey for you too, Daniel. Maybe you feel like maybe we could talk about back up with you, like the first time you went to jail. And I know you've been homeless. I know for me, I one time I went to jail and I lost everything. The job was gone, evicted from the house. I was homeless out of jail, and I found my way out of that through a shelter and a residential drug program, and it was hard. But let's talk about you. Maybe talk about the first time you went to jail and when you got out. What happened? What was your life like?
Oh, it was very different, brother. My first time I went to jail was in 1999, and I went for 3 months, and I thought it was an eternity. And in
Yeah,
hindsight, it was a walk in the park. It was a piece of cake.
yeah. Now that
And
you look back at it, but at the time, I know first time
yeah,
in jail, a weekend's a long time.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And so on. Yeah, like I said, I've done time 4 times, and each time has been the most difficult. It keeps getting harder every time, and then every time you're losing people. So when I got out the first time, I had all my family there. Now it ended up in a divorce, but these were things that were happening already. So at that time, I still had my family. I lived in Anthony, and all my family's there. Um, I
So,
remember. Go ahead.
so the first time you got out of jail, you have your family waiting for you. It wasn't so bad.
Yeah,
You had a place to go when you got out of jail because I
yeah,
know it's going to get worse every time you go back. So
yeah.
go on.
Yeah, and then I did have trouble finding work, especially because I was living in El Paso. In that area, the economy is a lot less. There's not that much work compared to here in Albuquerque. But eventually, I I found my place. I recovered, and they told me that this at the VA. I have a very good ability to recover, and then once I get to a point of success, is when I have trouble holding on to it. I self destruct.
Yeah, we like to sabotage or
Self
celebrate
sabotage, self destruct, and
something.
so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing. I graduated with my bachelor's in 1999. It was after my first incarceration, but here I am with my bachelor's, and then I have this my record starting to, and I thought I had a bad record then, bro. And then, but to make that long story a little bit shorter, I ended up working actually as an office administrator at Fort Bliss, and it was a very good job.
Wow.
And eventually, I let that job go uh, because of my record. They were gonna start checking me more, and it was gonna come. So I let it go, and I left in good standing. And at that time, that was a precipitation when I started going down again, and I got in trouble again. Yeah, and in that short span, brother, from '99 to 2005, that's when I did time 3 times, bro.
Three times.
Three
Yeah.
times, and when I got out in 2004, that's when I was able to leave cocaine. That's what because to me I had made up my mind that I can't shake this, man. It's just me. I drink, I do coke, I
Yeah.
smoke
So you
weed.
just surrendered. You gave up. I can't get off this stuff.
But
This is
when I
what.
got out, bro,
Yeah.
that time, and
I get it.
I ended up getting a good job that I was trying to get, and they didn't want to give it to me, and somehow they needed labor, and I got my foot in the door. And to me, I was thinking that they're gonna do a hair test in 6 months. I'm not gonna pass that, but I'll pass
Oh, the hair test.
the hair
Yeah.
test. So I thought I'll pass a piss test. The part of my language, I'll pass a urine test, and then I'll make some money. And then when they give me that, then I'm gone, brother. I
Wow.
don't know how I kept getting staying sober, sober. And then right at the month, right before the 6 months, they laid me off.
Oh.
And I remember thinking, I got I got $30 in my pocket. I'm gonna get a 12 pack and a 20 of coke. And then something crossed. If you go get dirty, bro, when they call you back, you're not gonna get this job. Go pay your bills, and when you pay your bills, you're not gonna have money. So when I
So
went into,
you had a moment of clarity finally.
yeah, yeah, and that was a fork in the road. And when I spent the
Yeah,
money
the
on the
turning
bills, bro,
point. The turning point. Yeah.
and I remember, bro, I regret it because after I didn't have them, I wanted to get numb. Poor me. Why me?
Yeah.
I need to
Pour
get
me,
numb.
pour me, pour me another drink. That's how. Yeah.
Yeah. Long story short, they called me back. When they called me back, I was clean, and then I stayed off dope. That's when I gave up dope, but I was still drinking. And then in fast forward to like 4 years later, uh, I could see how tired I would get there at that job. And then I had a falling out with my daughter where I would always take her to school, pick her up, this and that. And then when I had a falling out, I told myself, well, you have a lot more time on your hands now. We're going to do party or what?
Yeah.
And at that time, that's when I applied for the master's program. And I actually volunteered to become a janitor where I was working so that in case I didn't get accepted into the master's program, I still have my seniority there of 5 years, and I could go
Okay.
back to being
Okay.
a machine operator. I got accepted, bro, by some miracle to the master's program at New Mexico State University, and I fell in love with 3 years, bro, of graduate school, and it was heaven, bro. At that time, that's when I taught myself how to ride a motorcycle. I was on top of the world, bro. I was on top of the world, and then but that stint was about 5 years, and then eventually I got back in because of the stressors, and then my inability to handle those stressors the right way. I started to get numb again,
Yeah.
and then since then it's been on and off on it, and that's when I went to the VA in earnest in 2015. That's when I was having I couldn't sleep for like 3 4 days at a time. I was seeing things, hearing things, and then the VA wasn't caught up with my record, so it was I went through a lot of difficult times in El Paso VA, and then I started with the Las Cruces VA. That's when they put a good team for me together, and that's when I started to get my recovery, and it's been at that when I was doing real good, brother. I left that area and moved to Silver City to go work there, and
Wow.
it was real good work, but they weren't paying me well. I wasn't making it, so that's when I moved here to Albuquerque. But at that time, that's when my mother died, bro. And when my mother died in 2019, it was a very big. The family kind of sort of fell apart. And in 2018, brother, that's when I started drinking again. And no, it was 2019 is when I started drinking. And I hadn't even been drinking a year, bro. When boom, I got in
Yeah.
trouble.
When you go back to alcohol or drugs and all that, because I've had my times of recovery, and every time I go back, it gets worse.
Yeah.
Listen, just give me a second here. I want to talk about a couple people in the rooms here. Life in prison. Hey, thanks for joining in. I just want to give a shout out. There's some prison channels in the room right now. Life in prison. I think Zach, is that your name? I think I've checked out all your channels. You guys have a positive message, so I want to tell everybody go to YouTube, check out Life in Prison. Baby girl Wendy, I know you have a channel. I'm not sure. I found two channels under this name. Maybe you could give us the name of your channel. And AZ Ruction, he's got a prison channel. And all these guys have positive messages in their own different ways. We're all trying to change the world and make sure nobody has to go back to prison or go to prison for the first time or go to jail and all that. So I just want to acknowledge all you guys for being in the room. And sorry, Daniel, but these guys are part of what makes us keep this
Yeah.
show going.
Right.
So I didn't mean to interrupt, but so let's get back to where you were talking about, Daniel. So I guess we're on the subject of relapse now.
Yeah.
Everything's going
So
good. You got the job. You're
mhm.
making money. Life's looking good. You decide what made you? You started with a beer, a shot of whiskey. Do you remember that first thought that made you go back to that? Can you
Yeah.
take us back to that day?
Yeah, it was like I said when my mom died in it was April 2019, and then soon after that's when I moved to Belen. I was working and living in Belen, but I would go back to Anthony because I didn't have much here going on. And I remember the first time that my family got back together, me and my siblings, my brother came in with a six pack, bro, and I didn't feel like being there, bro, because I had my anxiety, PTSD, and I was just kind of forcing myself to be there. And when he walked in with a beer, bro, that's the first thing I thought is I want a beer, but I didn't drink at that time, bro. I
Yeah.
came back, started doing my thing, and then on Memorial Day weekend of 2019, that's when I said, you know what, f this, and that's when I started, bro. And then I started with a little bit, then it was more and more, and I
Yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't partying, brother. I had gone so bad that I was using it to numb my depression. So I'm not making light of it. I was actually getting worse.
You're
And
starting to
actually,
depend
like,
on it. Yeah.
yeah, actually, like now, bro, when I have cravings and I think about it, and I tell myself, brother, you're gonna be good for one or two beers, and then you're miserable. Doesn't work. And then that's like we say, like you've heard in the rooms, if it still worked, we'd probably still be out there. But it doesn't work no more, bro.
It does
And
stop working. I know that feeling. It's like where it used to work when I was. What happened? Maybe I need more. That's what it. Maybe I need to try a
yes,
different drug.
that's exactly it. More, more. How can I drink more without blacking out? And that was the one thing that I've told you I hate. It just I will black out easily. And then as I'm getting older and I can't, I'm not as strong. It's more debilitating, bro. So, uh, and looking back, bro, when I would like have cravings and romance it and trying to find myself, we find ourselves thinking of the benefit that we're gonna get, and we forget about the or we minimize the consequence. And the truth is, brother, that at least for me, it's progressed so far that the benefit is this much, and the consequences are. Look at me where I am right now, bro. Even though I'm doing good. I consider myself a success as far as not having to go back to jail, but I'm still paying, and I will be paying my dues to society for a while, but for a long time
Yeah.
for
And
my
then we got
past.
our probations or parole. We got fines and restitutions, and we got a rap sheet. Once, even if you get off probation or parole, you got a rap sheet. So if a cop pulls you over, he runs your name. It doesn't matter if you're off probation. He's just looking at your history.
Yeah, even now, bro, and
Sorry,
you're good, bro.
sorry, I told you I tested for the COVID.
Yeah, even now, bro. Even in my professional endeavors, sometimes people don't want to look at you like I'm talking at a master's level and such, and they're looking at me like, bro, you're an ex-convict, bro. What are you talking about? But it's cool, bro, because it we're gonna get there. We're gonna get every if you keep doing the right things, and then you're ready for the opportunities. When the opportunities come up, that's when you seize upon them, bro. And there
Well, you
will
know, if you, I don't know if Ann has told you this, it's 1 out of 4 people have a criminal history. Now, it just might be a DUI. It might be, moving violation in your. It could be misdemeanors and stuff. But 1 in 4 people have a criminal history.
yeah,
It may be 20 years ago, drinking in college at a park, drinking in public intoxication. It could be a small little misdemeanor, but 1 out of 4 have a criminal history.
right. And
So
that is why I have benefited a lot from the peer-to-peer groups that we do at the VA with other vets. Because even the guy who leads that group, he's a CPSW, which is certified peer support worker, and they've been through it, bro. Like a psychiatrist, psychologist, we can't judge them. We don't know, but sometimes they're working with what's up here, bro, and they don't understand what we're going through out in the streets.
sorry, sorry, Daniel. Keep talking.
Yeah, yeah, and so like I was saying, uh, as far as like having put my recovery together, bro. When I got out, When I got here to Albuquerque, and I was at a hotel, and I was ordering my medications from the VA, and then at that point they asked me, uh, are you still living at?" And then they gave me my old address, and then I told them, "No, I don't have an address. I'm homeless." And then that's when they're like, "Oh, okay, like okay, don't hang up. I'm gonna transfer you to somebody." And then, but the pharmacist at that time held my meds there at the VA, and she transferred me to, I think her name's Tracy, and she is the liaison at the VA who put me in contact with the Veterans Integration Center, and that is kind of like the equivalent of a halfway house for us vets.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So I was able to get to. It's a very expensive, bro. In the hotels, that even though I had my money, I was afraid I was gonna run out of, because all I was spending it on was food and hotels, but it's expensive.
Yeah. Oh, living
So
like that can be. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
sure.
and then I didn't know how to use the buses here, even though they're so simple. But and then I thought people were pulling my leg when they were telling me it's real easy. You just show your ID and you get on because I'm a veteran, so you can get in free. Anyway, so I got transportation. I got to the Vic, and they told me, "Yeah, we'll see you next week." And then I'm thinking, what do I do in the meantime, bro? And it's like, well, figure it out, bro. See you next week. And anyways, they told me to go to a different office on Central, and they're supposed to house you in an emergency, but for some reason they can't. They couldn't for me, and then I've seen other vets that man get turned down. I had money. I walked across the street and I got a hotel for a week, bro. And it was not a good hotel, and it was expensive. And I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out what to do. And long story short, bro, the homeless care for veterans at the VA, those people, those social workers and those peer support workers, they helped me. They helped me a lot, bro. And I was going to so many groups, bro, for for counseling, bro, at the VIC, at the VA. I was doing the meetings and a bunch, bro, and that's what kind of kept my mind occupied, so that when I wasn't occupied with something, housing, EBT card, what have you, I wasn't thinking detrimental stuff up here. And then with the peers, bro, you meet a lot of people that, hey, I was going through that, bro. This is what you gotta do. And
Yeah.
at the
Peer
same
support
time,
really, really helpful. Yeah.
and somebody will have a question or going through something that I already, have been successful with. So I help him. So when you
Right.
leave, bro, you leave like you help him and they help. And then, like I was saying, like the more professional, I shouldn't say the more professional, the people in building one, that's where they have all the psychologists, psychiatrists, and such. They can't help me because of the problems that I have, but building 96 helps me. And there's some vets that don't like what happens in building 96, but they go to building one, and that's fine. And then like I said, some people will come here to Wings. We'll help them here, and if we can help them here, we'll find somebody that's
Yeah.
gonna help
Yeah. So see, now you're even helping people now.
them.
As much as you need the help, you're still helping others, and that's how we do it. I'm going to start training for that peer support worker thing too in a couple weeks.
Uh,
If you've probably heard that, me and JD are so,
yeah,
and I can't wait to get through that training and actually be able to have a certificate. I still help people without. I don't really need a
sure.
certificate, but it's good to have.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
gives
it's
people, it gives
certified,
people a
bro.
little more faith in you and stuff. But I just like helping people. Like on my channel, I people call me all the time. I'm always getting calls from people getting ready to go to prison, coming out. What do I do? Want to help, and it gives me a purpose, gives me a reason to keep living. Because
Yeah.
I didn't think I had anything to offer anyone. And Daniel, you have a lot to offer people with your experience in the Desert Storm experience, being a vet, recovery from drugs and alcohol, homelessness, in and out of jails, off parole, probation. You got all that history, and now you can turn. Now you can, now you can help almost anybody that's been through what you've been through. You cover so many different categories.
Well, I
You're a peer support worker 12 times over.
thank you, but it's it's ironic that when I first got into the counseling program, the masters, I wanted to work with marginalized populations like I'm now, and they forced me to go to the school counseling internships because I didn't want to work with kids. I was afraid of kids. I thought I was gonna break them or something. And then I
Kids
ended
need
up,
role models. Kids need role models, man.
yeah, bro. And then when I graduated with a master's, I ended up working with kids, bro. Again, and I didn't want to. I fell in love with it, bro. And then for I guess, and then I got eventually you get tired of it, so I got into like the substance abuse counseling aspect of it, and that's when I was working with adults that are addicted to opioids or opiates. It's a very
Yeah,
different population. And then
right.
like here, bro, it Wings, where it's helping the whole family. It's the whole thing, bro. That's the beauty of it. You get to work with kids.
As you know, when you go to jail or you go to prison, man, and you leave your family behind, they suffer. They suffer more than you, especially if you were the only one that had the job and you got kids at home without a dad, or you're in and out of jails all the time. These kids get bullied at school. They get talked to. They get talked down to. You know, and your family's family starts. They don't even want to be around them anymore. And why don't you leave that man? Why are you waiting for him to get out of jail again? And finally, a lot of times the wife does or the husband does. And it's just
And
a
what we have in America, bro, for the longest time is grandparents or great grandparents
yeah,
raising children of of
right,
of of parents that are incarcerated. And it's like
yeah.
you say, it can be a cycle.
And you got whole families that go to prison and jail too.
Yeah,
It's
like me.
nothing.
Yeah, like me. And
It's almost the kid thinks, well, it's going to be my turn soon. I got to go to prison because my uncle Joey goes, my dad went, my mom went, so I know I'm going to prison, and
yeah,
that's just that we need to stop that. They need a role model. They need, you know what I mean? There's got to be stop that way of thinking
yeah.
because
And the role models are like the people who have had that sort of success. Followed in their career, been good with families, never been in. That's a very good role model. But we can be role models too of how do you get up when you fall down, get up. You fall down 7 times, get up 8. And
yeah,
then what have you learned? In the
right.
in the previous times that you fell and gotten up, how does it all culminate into where you are right now? It all
Some of these kids, some of these kids, Daniel, it's all about thug life, earning your badge and and you're speaking. There's prison channels out there now. The guys on here got positive prison channels, but there's some like prison channels out there. It's all about the thug life, and these kids are watching this stuff and eating
yeah.
it up, and they almost can't wait to get to prison.
It's like what I would
And it's so
counsel.
sad that they think like that. How so we need to reach those kids
Nah.
and
And
let them
then
know that's not the life you want to live, man.
no. And I would like I remember I had a lot of boys and some girls they want to be real tough or they've been conditioned to not cry. And I remember I would tell the kids, in when I was in war or when I've been incarcerated, guys cry in there, man. You won't see them because we do it in the shower where nobody can see
Yeah, we
us.
do it in the toilet or something.
Yeah,
I
and
know. I
about
remember.
when somebody comes out and you see them and you know you don't mess with them. Don't mess
No.
with them because so I'm conveying a message. It's okay to let your whatever you have inside let it out because if it gets stays bitter inside you, that's when we're more prone to go do destructive things, self-destructive or destructive things. But the most bitter tears are the ones you don't shed. If you shed some tears and you let it out and you let it go, and then where are we? Then you're better able to. But and I could tell that I would make an impression because they're looking at you and then they're imagining these big tough guys, but they cry too. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's part of the knowing how to get rid of the tensions that we have inside in positive or constructive ways. And if not that, at least not destructive, to where you don't need substances to get numb when you're low or substances to get amplify the high because you want to celebrate something good that happened. Or like me, I'm discovering when things are going good, bro, I get nervous, bro, because I'm not used to things. And what I would do is, oh, I need to take the edge off, bro. I don't feel like drinking, but I know, bro. No, 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 no. Don't do that. Yeah, and what happens, bro, is that it's not necessary. It doesn't. The world doesn't turn out happy go lucky. Is that you get through the moment, and the things that we think and that we feel that seem like they're never gonna pass. They pass, bro. They're temporary. There's things we think like I'm okay now, but when I was suicidal, I would think I don't want to be here no more. Sometimes I felt like I don't want to be here no more, but I know, I still want to be here. Those thoughts, those feelings are temporary, and if I act on them on impulse and try to take myself out, then it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Yeah, when my impulse has never been good.
Yeah,
When I act on impulse,
yeah.
I still need to learn how to. When I have impulsive thoughts, I'm still learning how to deal with them. But
It's like when I was talking to Chino, my one of my peer support workers at the VA, he calls it the pump. That's when he gets going and his PTSD. That's how he analyzes himself, introspect. To me, when I was in jail this last time, I was looking at, you know, how does my psyche work? And to me, I feel like I have like three people in my. I have Danny, I have Daniel, and I have Dan. And Danny, he he's the one who's gonna tell you to, f everybody and this or jump the fence. You're not gonna get caught. And Daniel, he's my higher judgment with just, hey, calm down, don't do that. You're upset, but and then that's kind of the struggle within, and that's kind of how I
yeah,
manage it. And of course, those are all figments of my imagination. It is me that has to fix everything with what God gave me, my mind, my spirit, and my body.
yeah,
And so long as I have my health, then
and your
you
soul.
and your soul is
Dan-
to
Daniel,
me.
here's a comment for you, Daniel. Don Johnston out of Facebook. He says, "What do they say about act and react?"
My opinion on act is you're being proactive. You choose how to act. And it comes from inside you. And when we react, it's based on somebody's action, somebody's proaction, and that we're being reactive. So I think in this context is sometimes we react to stressors, to triggers, to cravings, and we're being managed by as we react. If we are acting and we are proactive, then we're a step ahead of our cravings.
Well, I know I have no control over the way that you're going to act in front of me. If you're going to stare me down and eagle eye me and want to get me, I have no control over the way you act, but I do have control over the way I react. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
that's I can react several different ways, and there's different options. Do I get pulled into it and confront this person? Do I go get drunk or high over it? Do I go come in? Do I fight? Do I walk away? Do I turn and slowly walk away? Do I run away? I have all kinds of options, but and I get that power, but I have no power over the way you're going to act. But I do have the power over the way I react. That's my answer.
Yeah, and it goes to show, bro. This gentleman that posed a question, and then I had my answer. You had your, and our formula for success is going to be based on what we need. It'll be unique, and it might overlap, and and that's good. And at the same time, there's reasons why you do what you do, and I do what I do. And it's based on our. Even when I was staying at the Vic, uh, different guys were homeless for different reasons, so their solutions were going to be different. My were mine, and I was working with some people that those guys were working with, and he didn't like the people I work with because they weren't helping him. But I was telling him, bro, it's we're all different, and what we gravitate towards and what gravitates towards us is different too.
We got Starry Ari Knight. He says, "Hey guys, and it's a little kitty. How you doing, Starry?
Yeah, but like we were talking earlier, I think it's very the spiritual aspect. It's very it's prominent. Sometimes out of respect, we don't share that too much, but it's I'm very that's very prominent in my mind, mind, body, spirit, and it's health and well-being of the mind, health and well-being of the spirit, and health and well-being of the body. And if we're in harmony, we're more at ease. And sometimes when our bodies are sick, our minds and our spirits have to carry the load because our bodies are healing. And sometimes when our bodies are strong and our minds are faltering, our body and our spirits. You get what I'm saying? So we
Oh
compensate.
yeah, oh yeah,
Like AA, bro, it's a spiritual program. A lot of people started and we think it's about not drinking. It is about that. But when you get
yeah.
down
But
to the
but
nitty
it's
gritty,
also a way to live life. You know.
yeah, but and in that sense, it's physical. It's a body. It's a way to the actions you do. But it's a spiritual program because it gets you in contact with your higher power.
And it's also a place you don't have to be alone in a support group. And the hardest thing about AA is going in there and asking for help. Some people go and they walk in there once and they never go back.
The,
They didn't ask for help, but and it doesn't have to be AA, but I believe in support groups,
yeah,
not
yeah,
having
bro.
to do this alone. Like
Yeah,
I get to go to work and you're there next to me, and if I'm having a bad day or thoughts in my head, I could turn to Daniel and go, "I got something going on, Daniel. I can now, and I could tell you what's going on, and
yeah.
whether how small it is or big it is, you're
That's
there to help me.
fellowship.
You know,
That's a fellowship, bro.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so it's pervasive. If we wanted to, the fellowship is pervasive. It's within the walls in the rooms, and it's beyond the walls outside the rooms. And if we go, we're out here. That's where a lot of the magic happens too, bro. And if
yeah,
we're having a tough time and we want to focus just on ourselves, that's the beauty of AA or NA or any 12
yeah.
or any
A lot
program.
of 12-step groups out there.
Yeah, if you follow,
Here's one Daniel for Star. He says, "Doing good. Would be doing better if my son could break the incarcerated cycle. It's been a rough road." Yeah, Starry, we've been talking about that the last half hour. I don't know if you just came in, but you want to give him some input on that comment there, Daniel,
yeah, I mean,
or
it
her.
goes,
I don't know if it's he or she. I
yeah,
apologize.
it looks like a female kitty, so I get,
Female,
but I get,
female.
but a starry night. What I would say to you is that the for your son to break that cycle, he will need the help that is tailored and unique to his situation, and it's therapist, but and it doesn't have it, for him. It might be a psychiatrist, psychologist, or he might be like me that doesn't jive with those people. I do go with peer to peer. I do go with walking into 12-step groups. My home group was early birds at Gratitude West, and then here I'm still in the flux.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of, if you look for the help, you will find it. And when the people that are supposed to be helping you don't do it, there are people that are they go above and beyond. Like my social workers, don't tell nobody I did this for you because they say that I'm what's it called, I forget the word, that they're babying us, for lack of a better word. But sometimes we need that help,
Yeah.
and she will never overdo it. She knows, but she understands that some people that are supposed to help us don't, and even
Well,
though
the
they,
first thing your son's got to do, Star, is he's got to ask for help. And some people don't want help. I like to throw out this riddle: how many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? It doesn't matter. You could have 1,000 psychiatrists if the light bulb has to want to change.
but that what I
You
would,
get it? So if her son doesn't want to change, so that's the first. He's got to want to change, and if he wants to change, then he's got to learn how to ask for help, and then from there, then we can help him.
yeah,
Um,
the biggest thing is to get help from somebody that's trained in. And then, like, when you're dealing with family, it's love, it's subjective, love is messy. Like you have to be working with somebody who's going to be objective and not let love come in and be messy. If they love their profession, and they're gonna, but That's what that person might need. And what was I gonna say? In substance abuse, there's a lot of ambiguity. You want to quit, and you really want to quit, and then in a half day you change your mind. And that is the difference between mental health counseling, which is more like with the doctor, they make an appointment and they go, and substance abuse is very different. They make an appointment, then they don't want to go, but they do, but
Yeah.
they don't. That's why substance abuse counseling, bro. A lot of behavioral health practitioners do not like substance abuse because they don't understand it, and they
Right.
themselves might have a substance abuse problem with food or gambling or smoking, but they don't understand this person that just it's the same thing. It's a dopamine, the pleasure centers, the reward centers. Yeah, when you break down the chemicals, whether it's food, cocaine, alcohol, it's releasing dopamine in here, and that's what gets you hooked.
So sometimes the only person that can help a drug addict is another drug addict. Now, one that's turned their life around.
Sometimes, bro.
Uh,
Sometimes.
all the doctors, psychiatrists, therapists in the world, if we can't relate to them, you don't understand. You never been through what I've been. You haven't been homeless. You haven't been to jail. You haven't been busted by the cops. You don't know what it's like. So we don't want to hear it. But then another addict or alcoholic comes and he's been through all that. We might stop and listen.
One of the best counselors that I ever had, he was never addicted, bro. He had a gift. He was a Vietnam vet, and he was just good at it, bro.
Yeah.
He was one of the persons that inspired me to become a counselor because I was used to the confrontational style.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna tell your PO and what. And then this guy, he was like, okay, what do you want? And he kept. And I was even tempted to tell him the truth.
Wow. Here's
Yeah,
another comment, Don Johnson. AA is a spiritual group that is supported in fellowship.
yeah,
And that's very true.
yeah.
And
And then-
Starry's got another one here too. She says, when my son is out, he never has enough time for support groups. He is always working and has children when he is not. He gets so tapped out, and that's what caused relapse. He gets a case of screw it.
yeah.
Yeah, so
It's
you
because
get that one?
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You,
What I was
this
gonna
is
say
where
is
this
that
is where your accounts. This is a question that you can answer. I'm sure.
yeah, yeah. And actually, I learned this from my social worker when I was a client. There's a lot more groups out there than AANA, and they're not just live; they're online. Like here, we're online. Anne is in Las Vegas. You're somewhere in Albuquerque, and then I'm here. And there's a multitude of different group. Like right now, I'm checking out. It's called a Smart Recovery, and it's a 12-step program. It's new to me, but I was introduced to it by my social worker. And then when I was looking it up, and I found like 25 groups. Like you were in. Well, have you ever heard of Cocaine Anonymous?
That's the program I like
There you
best of
go.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's tailored. And then I saw some for LGBT, and then I saw that just for women. And like in AA where we have men's stag groups, and then you talk
Yeah.
about. So if this gentleman is so busy, if you plant a seed, and the best time to catch them is when they're down in the dumps, and don't harp on him. Is try to coax him to where he commits that he wants help, and he's gonna change his mind again. There's a theory to change, bro. It's just a theory, but there's contemplation. I don't have a problem. Leave me alone. Contemplation, I have a problem, but I'm okay. Planning, I need to change, but you're planning, and then action. That's when boom, you're going to meet. That's action, bro. And if 6 months of action, now you're in maintenance, bro. And then unfortunately, in substance abuse, there's relapse. And when you relapse, you could go back to planning, back to contemplation, or even back to pre-contemplation where you just give up. And our job as counselors, or maybe even is to get them to that next step. If they're pre-contemplating, you're trying to get them to action. That's a lot of steps. Just get them to get them to contemplate that. Hey, Yes, dude, this is enough. It's enough. And then maybe start planning like, oh, which groups do you like? What do you want to do? What does work for you?
Here's what my drug counselors and support group would tell me if I there's not enough time. They said, well, you found enough time to get high. You
Yeah,
found enough time to go get the drug. You
yeah.
found enough time to go to the bar. You found enough time to call the dealer. You found enough time, to do all that. So what do you mean
Even
there's not enough time?
even when we're
You know,
functioning, bro,
you
and
almost gotta, put them on the hot seat.
yeah,
Um,
even when we're functioning and we're using, we find time in between to go get our stuff and then come back and function.
yeah,
So it's his mind, bro, and in his
and,
and he actually thinks and he actually feels like he doesn't have enough time, but he doesn't know that he does.
sometimes you just gotta, you gotta tell it like it is. It's not easy to take, and they don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
You go, you don't understand that. You don't know me. They're gonna come off like that, but we do know you.
it's unfortunate, bro, that his solutions are gonna be as unique to his problems, and they might be the total inverse of what worked for me. He
Yeah,
likes the fast life, easy money, adrenaline, rock star women. It sounds like me. That's what I was like. Yeah, and eventually we get to a point where enough is enough. But we need to have those exit ramps that are. I like this exit, because if I don't like it, I'm not gonna get on it. You get what it's yeah. If
you're
it was
preaching to the
simple,
choir
bro.
here, but I'm 58 years old. I didn't get clean till I was 52, so
Yeah,
I was in and out, and I heard it all. I know, I know, but you don't know me. You don't understand. My life's different than you don't understand. I've been, and it took what it took.
yeah.
Going to jail didn't stop me. Prison finally woke me up. I got lucky that prison saved my life. Not everybody gets it
Oh,
prison's not enough for people.
what
That's what it
happens is
took for
a lot
me.
of
I
people get.
finally got the message. But I was 50 years old when I went to prison. I mean, God, I wish I could have got it when I was 20 or 30. But at least I got it. I got
But
it.
we're
Now I
here,
get to
bro.
go live my life. You
We're
know,
still here.
I'm still here. Even
Yeah.
with COVID, I got the COVID, but I'm getting through this.
And how many dudes get trapped in that cycle where you know what? I give up. This is where I'm gonna live, and that's it. And they
Yeah.
give up, and they spend the rest of their years there, or they come out here. They can't handle the fast pace of society compared to the structure they had in there, and they offend just to go back because they're institutionalized.
It's easier. They're going to
It
feed
can
me, clothe
be.
me. I know how to hustle in there. I can't hustle out
And I'm,
here.
I'm about to tell you, I'm deathly afraid of being incarcerated. No, bro. No, no, no. That's not something I wanna. Yeah, I mean, even when I go report to probation, I'm very tense because I don't like those environments. But
Whenever I
and
get
the
a
feels
phone number that says private call or something, I think it's my probation officer. Everything scares me, man. I see a cop in my rearview mirror. I know I'm legal. I got nothing, all my paperwork, everything's in order.
yeah.
But I'm driving like this.
When I was a counselor, bro, and I would go to courts with clients, I still felt weird, bro, because of the times when I was used to going as a defendant. Yeah, but we're on the right path, brother.
Yeah,
And to me, like I said, I already consider myself a success at certain things, and then I consider myself new and a beginner at other things, and in that way, I'm a success because I'm new to it. And then in a lot of things, bro, I need a lot of help, and I'm not an expert. I'm not a success. I'm a work in progress, and yeah, and then again, some things
but
that I'm a work in
you're on the
progress.
right. You're on the right road now.
Yeah,
You know.
and I am to stay on it, bro. Wings for life.
So hey, it's been a little over an hour, so I want to wrap it up. We're kind of running out of time, but I want to give you some last words, advice, message, anything you want to say to everybody out there. And if you guys have a quick question or comment, now's the time before we wrap this up. Daniel, did you want to say any
Oh,
last words to people out there?
oh, I thought it was we were waiting on anybody to ask. No, I just like to say that I didn't have anything planned for this interview, and I just wanted to wing it and see what will come up. And my main message is that there are people out there that are willing to help you. Uh, if you can't do it right off the bat, give yourself a chance. 10 minutes one day later, and then keep it in mind that there's don't do it alone, man. Don't do it alone, and don't try to be strong. You'll run out of strength. Be smart. You gotta work
Right.
smarter, not
Yeah.
harder, son.
Right. I wanted to say the number for Wings for Life has been flashing on the bottom of the screen. It's underneath the videos. If you guys want to call and talk to me, you can. I'll bet you Daniel would love to
Yes.
talk to you too. Starry, you can give us a call at the office. No matter what state you're in, we could still do our best to help you. She says, or he, I don't know. I'm Starry. I don't know if that's male or female, but Starry says, thanks, guys, for sharing your wisdom and experience. You're welcome. You're welcome very much. So next week we have more recovery talk. Serenity Mesa, Jennifer Burke, I believe, is going to be our guest, who started Serenity Mesa, and that's a recovery program from drugs and alcohol, having to do with people incarcerated. The whole theme always comes back to stopping that cycle of incarceration. That's what we try to do here. And Jeff G says, glad to see you're feeling better. Well, I've got the flu, and my nose is running, and everything, but I'm way better than I was Monday. I still tested positive again today. I checked 2 hours ago. Maybe Monday I'll finally be negative. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Daniel, thank you for being a guest on the show, and I'll see you when I get back to the office when I'm off this COVID-19 thing. And
Be well, brother.
all right. I got to get better by next Friday. I have that guest coming in the office, and I can't really do that from here. Well, I could if I have to, I guess.
You will, bro. By next Friday, you will, but you gotta take care of yourself now. Just take it easy,
Okay.
and then you by next Friday, you'll be back in the office.
All right. Oh, Starry says I'm a she. Okay. Thank you, Starry.
Yeah.
Paige. Thank you, Daniel. Paige Watts. Do you know who that is, Daniel?
No.
That's your Paige Gunderson Watts says, thank you,
You're
Daniel.
welcome. Thank you,
All
Pete.
right. All right, guys. Happy Father's Day, everybody out there. If your father's in prison or jail, please try to send them a card or a letter, or visit them if you can, and hopefully they call you. If you're a father and you have a son or a wife or a daughter in jail, please tell them that you love them. All right.
Right.
Okay. Good night. Good afternoon, everybody. Goodbye.